Well, hello everybody. We're here at St. Louis Escape, which is next door to the Darkness, our haunted house. And this place has changed drastically since I bought it. I bought this building. Well, Transworld's been coming to St. Louis for about 15 years. I did not have this building when Transworld first came to St. Louis. I bought it after the fact. And I don't remember how long I've had it. Maybe I've had it about 8 years, maybe, roughly. And you know what this place used to be? It used to be a BB gun factory. They used to make like Winchester BB guns or something like that. And as you can see, we're here. We're trying to get our new escape room open before Transworld. And it's basically the same as it was when it was the haunted hotel, except for we put this wall in here. So now instead of it being 3 rooms, it's 4. Because here's another room here. And you can kind of get an idea of what's going on in here a little bit. And but the reason why I'm talking about how things have changed is we have an ongoing series here where we're trying to help people in the haunted house industry get better at what they do, make more money, be more profitable. And so yes, it's similar but different. And this escape room is brand new, and it will be open at Transworld. And if you haven't been through this escape room, this was the new one we opened last year. This one's called Jurassic Island. You can see the T-Rex up in the ceiling. This one is probably my favorite escape room. It's a little on the easy side. And it's basically a 3-room escape if you count this room right here. But yeah, it's like a 3-room escape. And we worked on this escape room like on and off, like geez, for golly, 10 months. It was just on and off, on and off. And but anyway, it's all done now. And if you didn't come to Transworld last year and you're coming this year, you can play the Jurassic Island escape room. And right now it says haunted hotel, of course, but it actually, this is our new escape room. So again, it does look the same, similar. It used to be called the haunted hotel. It is not the same. So there's about 3 puzzles that are the same as before. Everything else is totally different. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Including this table right here, where you have to put a marble in here, and you have to kind of sort of guide a marble around through the table. I mean, and of course this wall wasn't here. It is completely different, not completely, but really close. It is about 90%, I don't know, 85% different. But that's our new escape room. So today we want to talk about, somebody asked the question online of what would I do different if I had to do it all over again. And so I thought, like, oh, that's a great topic. And so what I'll do is I'm gonna walk around here in the escape room, and we'll kind of sort of look at some of the things that we've done here in St. Louis Escape. And I'm over here because, you know, what I've learned is when I first started in the haunted house business, every year was a struggle. I was borrowing money every single year to reopen. I mean, there wasn't a year I didn't borrow money. Sorry, I'm walking in the dark. But I'm walking over here to a light switch because I want to turn off the overhead lights so we can walk around in the black light mini golf here. And no, I'm not Joe Biden, who can't complete a single sentence. I'm actually just kind of thinking here about some of the things that we want to talk about here. And before we kind of get into all of that, now see, we've actually redone this mini golf as well. So when you talk about things like, oh, I wish I would have known then when I know now, we build blacklight mini golfs for clients all over the world. And we've actually taken a big chunk of the artwork that was in here. And by the way, I have it. I can sell it to you. All the artwork that was on this wall, this wall, this wall, and that wall is now for sale. And it's really cool. It's great artwork. And the reason why we're getting rid of it is because as we were developing the theme, and we built the first one for ourselves, I didn't really have a clue like how it was going to turn out, because everything that I do is just kind of sort of on instinct and just how I feel and what I think is working and what's not working. So this is a perfect example, this mini golf, of I wish I would have done it different, the first time. And that is today's topic. And I want to explain one thing about the Darkness Haunt Tour is happening. And next week, we are literally going to have Transworld. It starts next week, next Thursday. Vendors will be coming to St. Louis, like literally this weekend. We have a vendor coming to Studio Tech, is coming to the Darkness to install our flying rig. And we'll have that up in the ceiling. We're really excited about that. And so yeah, we're real excited. And Transworld's coming up. And things are going to be really cool and really exciting. So I'm going to take a little seat here. And I'm going to just explain a couple things to you while this really cool Beatles pinball machine is behind me. And I'm going to have to turn here so you can see me. So before we get into this topic, because it's a very important topic, I want to mention that the LEMP tour is essentially sold out. There's like 9 tickets left. It's so early that I might add a few more for a 9:30. We have a 9:30 for the Darkness, but we could add a 9:30 for LEMP. I didn't really want to, but considering how it basically sold out, so stay tuned. We may add a 9:30 slot, because as of right now, the LEMP only has 9 tickets left. I haven't decided if we would add another, say 50 tickets on to the end of the show, meaning you can come at 9:30 and go through. The behind the scenes tour, there's roughly 50 of those tickets left. That's where you get to go through the Darkness, and you get to go through and you can take pictures and videos and you can see the whole thing, including our retail store, gift store, and so on and so forth. And we're going to have a lot of freebies and you name it. And then on Saturday is the Darkness tour, and there's about 130 of those tickets left. I do expect those to sell out. We will not be adding any more of those because I don't want to do more than 800, and it's too stressful. And one of the big differences between LEMP and Darkness is that LEMP does not have an area where you can hang out at the end, right? So you kind of come out and you kind of there's a photo op there, but you just kind of sort of go. Whereas the Darkness has a retail store, it has a cool area, and people just literally hang out there. So I've seen people hang out there for an hour or better. So I'm not adding any more tickets to the Darkness because I already expect to be here till about 10:30. So we're not doing the Darkness. So there's about 130, 40 tickets left on the Darkness. I would advise you to get them really fast. That means there's only 2 slots left, and that's the 9 and the 9:30. So that's it. So you might want to get them really quick. And I do want to remind everybody that the behind the scenes tour, Grim Life Collective is going to be here. They called me today to confirm they're coming. And so I'm really excited. And they're going to share their perspective of haunting, because they've been to a lot of haunts now. So they're also they can answer any questions about, how to grow a YouTube page, about social media, how to create content, storytelling, you name it. They're going to be here, so make sure you come. These are some very extremely nice people and very knowledgeable. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, the haunt show is next week. It's haashow.com, and we look forward to that. And if you're watching this video after these events have occurred, don't forget, the Transworld show usually happens every March, so the URL I'm giving you will still apply. And sometimes we do haunt tours, sometimes we don't, but the tour will always be at darkness.fearticket.com. So with that being said, somebody on the YouTube page asked me, what would I do different if I could do it all over again? Well, I mean, the easy one is buy Apple stock, right? Go back and buy stock in GameStop or AMC and then sell, That's the quickest way, the easiest answer, right? But if you're talking about in your business of running an attraction, I can tell you what's really funny is the first year that I did my own haunted house, which is the Darkness. Now, it wasn't the first year I did my haunted house. I had done this other place called House on the Haunted Hill prior to that. But when I built the Darkness, the city really made me use drywall and aluminum studs. When we were building that haunted house, some people got cut on the aluminum studs. And the haunted house, there's just no way to build a haunted house out of aluminum studs and drywall. So essentially the haunted house was rebuilt from scratch, little by little over years, to get rid of the drywall. And I had to go back to the city and explain to them why it actually was safer to build the haunted house out of plywood and 2x4s. But I will tell you that, and I built a lot of attractions for a lot of people. One of the things I learned is you want to do everything in stages, okay? So it's actually better if you're going to build a haunted house to put the electric in first. And you're probably going to need a security system. Put that in first. Make sure get your sprinkler system tested and so on and so forth. Get all that done first. Put your, if you have to replace like panic hardware doors, get all that done first. Like all of that should be done. Now, how can you do electric? You're probably asking first. Well, the way you do it is, you about to eat dinner there, Adam? The way you do it is run everything in the ceiling, including overhead lights, where you can, with one switch, you can turn on all the lights and see like the whole attraction. And when you're running that, you also could run your emergency lights. You can run those. You can run conduit plugs, and you can put that on, like rolls, and you can zip tie it and leave it up in the ceiling. So that and you can literally make these runs all the way down. Like, let's make 5 runs all the way down, and let's put all the emergency lights in, because now they're up in the ceiling, and you can just point the lights in the hallways that you need them in. You put your security system in first. Number one, it would have been much cheaper to do it that way, because when you're trying to do that after the fact that you've built the maze, now they're up and down ladders, they're running wires all over the place, and it's just a catastrophe. It's actually easier to do everything, all the infrastructure type of stuff, all the stuff that's going to prevent you from getting passed on an inspection, to get it done first. Another thing that I would have done differently, because you go back and you do things again and again and again, is I would have put in more power to start. Because here's the thing, when you are building your haunted house, you know, you might think, oh, I need one air compressor. Okay, I only have 5 animations. But what you're not thinking about is that, hey, I'm going to make this business successful, and I'm going to grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it. And what I think a lot of haunted house owners fail to realize is you're not thinking long term. Okay, so why would you buy, like I say, a $6,000 or $7,000 big screw, you know, a big belt-driven air compressor, when that isn't going to be able to handle very many animatronics? Why wouldn't you just do it right the first time and get you a big screw drive? Now, in the darkness, you know, I have 2 screw drives, and I paid about $10,000 each for them. Okay, and now the prices have gone way up since I bought those. But like when I had my air guy come out and look at my air situation, and I have started off with 2 big belt drive air compressors. They barely work, okay, but you know, I wasn't thinking long term. And of course, screw drives were available then to me, but I did not get any screw compressors. Now, I wish I would have not messed with belt driven, but it was just a cheaper route to go. And so now you have this whole nightmare of trying to get these things out of the middle of the haunted house and replace them with bigger ones. So anyway, long story short, the air compressor company said, you know what you ought to do is the really good ones that I have, the screws, just replace those with ones that generate twice as much air. Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have been so cheap the first time and just done it right out of the box. But what a lot of haunts will do is they'll go buy these big belt-driven ones, but they're not thinking long-term. So then that air compressor becomes obsolete and worthless because you're like, wow, we can't run air. Our animations don't work when it's busy. Well, that's because you didn't think long-term. So you wasted money on something you do not need, and guess what that air compressor is now? It's basically a storage tank, okay? Because now you got to go out and get a real air compressor. And another thing that I would say is when you're talking about electric, we only need 200 amps of service. Well, you know what? What you're not thinking about is that you're going to continually buy new stuff, okay? Now look at all these pinball machines in here, okay? Just as an example. So when we built this place right here, I didn't know I was going to have all these pinball machines. I wasn't thinking that far in advance. I didn't know that I was going to have this mini golf here and 8 escape rooms, which technically right now we only have 7 and we're adding an 8th. But I didn't think of all this stuff. And you know what else I didn't think of? In the haunted house, we're constantly adding more and more animatronics. So let me tell you a mistake that was made. Which, by the way, this was a smart thing. And this goes back to putting the electric in first and the emergency lights and all that kind of stuff. But this was really smart on my part. I went ahead and bit the bullet, and I had paid an electrician to come in and put all the first floor on one switch with a bunch of contactors, and we did the same thing on the first floor. So that means the whole haunted house can turn on with one switch each. Well, wasn't thinking far enough in advance. We added more and more props and animations and lights and speakers and everything else. And guess what? There's not enough power on the first floor. So to get more power, we had to put in another breaker box. And to connect that to the one switch with contactors would be a lot of work. So what we had to do is now the first floor operates with 2 switches instead of 1. It's not that big of a deal, but now the first floor no longer turns on with 1 switch, turns on with 2. I wish that I would have done it the right way the first time. Okay, and it always comes back to bite you in the ass when you try to save a nickel or a dime when you know that you could have just done it right the first time. Now, do you see this space that we're in right here? Okay, when I decided that I was going to put a mini golf in here, I did it the right way. I had overhead lights installed. You see the big white ones? That's so we can see. I had all the black lights put in. We cleared the space, we painted the beams, I had the air conditioning put in, not after the fact, okay? Not after the fact, but I had it put in day one. So this space was empty, it stayed empty. We got all the electric in, and do you see where the emergency lights are up there in the ceiling? Okay, all of that was put in with runs of electric, runs. So all of the fluorescent fixtures, all of the overhead lights, everything was put in all at once. Okay, that's how it was done. It was done faster, it was done cheaper, and matter of fact, it was done in just a few days. So after all that was done, that's when the second step was put in the carpet. Well, actually, the second step was getting all the walls up and painting them black. Okay, after that was done, we put in the carpet. The last thing that we did was install the attraction. Does this make sense to you? So, in the old days, I would have built the attraction and then try to put everything in after the fact. So, it's actually ass backwards way of doing it. And I've learned that when I build haunted houses, or even mini golfs or anything for clients, is I give them this advice and I explain to them to go ahead and get the space ready by doing everything in advance before we arrive to install the attraction. It makes it go faster, it's more efficient, and yes, do I advise a client to buy a more high-powered air compressor out of the box day one? Of course we do. Of course we do. You know, did they take that advice? It's the right way to do it. Do it right the first time. So if I could go back and correct these mistakes, I mean, I would have saved myself $100,000 or $200,000 when you think about it over 10 years of changing and correcting these mistakes. But so if I was to give you a great piece of advice, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's just true. You know, a lot of people give me specifically criticism for, you know, throwing my opinion around, or I guess I sometimes correct people when I think they're just grossly inaccurate with the information they're giving out, because I'm actually a person who does not want people to make the same mistakes that I made. So when I see somebody just inaccurately trying to promote something or say something that I know is not true or I know is a mistake, I'm going to say something. So some people don't like that. I don't care. Okay. Hey, I'm just telling you what the facts are. Okay. You do you. I don't care. I don't live in Timbuktu, Arkansas. So what you do there, that's what you do. But hey, the one thing that people need to do more in this industry is a lot less talking and sometimes more listening, or asking questions. So if you were a friend of mine and you called me and asked me, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Can you just share your opinions? Can you share your thoughts? You probably, with that phone call, would save yourself tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. I'll give you another example. We built a retail store. We bought a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff doesn't sell. You learn the hard way. You learn little by little by little what does sell. So hey, give me more of that. But you don't know this until you experience failure. Now, if I was able to pick up a phone call, but if I was able to pick up a phone and make a phone call to somebody who is really successful at running a horror-themed retail store in the back of a haunted house, I could have asked those questions. But you know what? Nobody really had one. I'm not saying that we're the first ones who's ever done it, because we're not. I mean, I went to Spooky World back in the late 80s, and they had a huge one selling masks and costumes and everything else, but that was a whole different animal. Okay, what works in a haunted house today, we really are one of the first people, if not the genuinely first haunt that actually went all out with it. I know there was other haunts that had retail stores. Heck, I had a retail store. But to go all out, will people buy masks? Will people buy these big Annabelle dolls that cost $500? You know, these are things you just kind of sort of throw a net out into the water and you see if you get, you know, some fish. I mean, it really is kind of like that. And so when you know someone that's done this, it actually is in your benefit to be friends with these people. I'm not saying me, I'm saying anybody that you know is doing a retail store, because you can like literally spend 30 minutes. And you know what if you said, hey, and I'm only talking about myself because I'm the one doing the talking here. But if you said, hey, Larry, I am from Timbuktu, Kentucky, and hey, I'm gonna be driving through St. Louis. Could I buy you dinner and just pick your brain for a minute or two? I just wanted to ask you some questions. And you know, you got a piece of paper and a pencil, and you're asking questions and you're taking notes. This is an art form that has been lost because of social media. There's an old saying, and I can't remember who coined this. I mean, I know I used it. It might have been John Denley. I can't remember. It might have been John Denley, and he said, you know, the first year you're a client. You're talking about, like, let's say I'm a consultant and you hire me. And the first year you're a client. The second year you're an expert. And the third year you're a consultant. I mean, that's how fast people think they know it all. And here it is, you know, I've been doing the darkness. This will be the 31st year. Plus I did a haunt for 5 years prior to that. So that's 36. And prior to that, I worked in a haunt before that. And I did some charity haunts and everything else. So, I mean, how many years have I done some sort of haunted house? I mean, it's over 40. I know that's terrible because I'm old. But guess what you get with age? You get knowledge. And even though the haunted house industry has changed quite a bit, and it keeps changing and transforming, and what people want out of a haunted house has changed drastically. Like I never thought I would ever see the day when there would be haunts selling alcohol, because that just seems so taboo. But here you are. People are doing secret bars and all kinds of other things. Haunts are exploring every way possible to increase revenue. And I never thought I would see that, but here they are. And you know, and I want to jump on that bandwagon myself. To do that, I'm going to have to make a lot of changes in the darkness. That means where TerraVisions is at, it would have to be removed and replaced with something that brings the darkness into the next 10 years of what haunts might look like. And that's, you have to think about tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where might we be? And what's really cool is you're kind of sort of, this stuff's being laid out for you. But there's a lot of things I wish I could correct. And if I could, I really do believe that my net worth would be double, if not triple. Another thing that I would say, and this is a big one, this is a really big one, that I would say that I would do differently if I could do it all over again, is don't get in a competition with other haunts or other haunts in other cities. It's not a competition. You need to do you. You need to just know your market and know what your customers want. You need to listen to your customers. You do need to kind of sort of follow what other haunts are doing in other parts of the country. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's in your best interest. And I can tell you that one of the biggest mistakes that I made was thinking, you know, like I was never going to die, you know, that my haunt would go on forever, that, you know, I would never get old, okay? In other words, this is just going to keep going forever, but it doesn't. And, you know, when I was younger, I worked like crazy. I used to sleep at the haunted house. I used to work, I used to do everything. And now I'm more of a manager of everything, kind of overseeing it and trying to make good decisions. Okay, but as you get older, you start to focus more on, hey, all of a sudden I'm 50. Okay, I never thought I would be 50. Not that I thought I would die young, but when you're 28 years old, you don't think about being 50. Okay, but when I was 28, if I thought about one day I would be 50, I would have twice as much money as I do today. And why don't I have a lot more money? Well, and this kind of goes back to being kind of a trailblazer. And not everyone likes a trailblazer, but I have been probably the number one trailblazer in the haunt industry. Always trying to do something different, always trying to do something that no one else has tried yet. And a lot of it failed, okay? But you don't know until you try. But when you try and do something, the only way to learn how to do it the right way is to make a mistake. But then when you have somebody who's willing to share that information with you, you have to do more listening. You've got to listen more to other people who know what they're talking about. And what you really need to do is listen more and then just kind of soak it in, let it absorb. And then you need to use your best judgment, your common sense that says, will that work for me? Or maybe I need to take a little bit of this advice and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and kind of twist that together to work for me, okay? Now I can tell you when I was 28 years old, I didn't do a lot of listening. I just was go, 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 go. And I wish that I would have done more listening, because I'm not saying I'm broke or anything, because I'm certainly not. Far from it. But one day, when you run your own business, this is something you've got to remember. When you're an independent business person, you're not going to have a 401k, okay? You're not going to have a retirement. Like if I work for the police department, you get in X amount of years, you get retirement. That means you can make this much money for the rest of your life. You're going to have a 401k where you're getting that to supplement Social Security or whatever. You've got to build a nest egg. And by the way, this goes for anybody, whether you're working at a haunt or not. You can't just be willy-nilly with the money. And I was definitely willy-nilly with the money, always trying to create things. And that's just a big piece of advice that I'm going to give you. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. I spent a lot of money on stuff I didn't need. I spent a lot of money redoing things 3 to 4 to 5 times. Maybe I should have had a better plan going in. I can tell you that the more time you spend with your guys, the less likely it's going to be that you're going to have to do it over for a second and third time. I was pretty notorious for not liking the way something was going and tearing it all apart and starting over. It costs a lot of money to do that. What I wish I would have thought more about when I was younger was that one day you would be older, and where would you be? And I just wish I would have thought more about that and less about, oh, I want to have the best haunted house. I want to have the most props. I want to build this scene because I can, because I want to, because it sounds so cool. But there was a point where everything kind of sort of came together for me. And it really was when I was 48 or 49, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm almost 50. It's like when you spend your whole life being like a kid in a candy store, you don't really you kind of see 50 a little bit differently than normal people would see 50. I saw 50 as being 80, okay? And I was like, wow, And then, you get a little slower, you don't have as much energy, and so on and so forth, and you really just start thinking about, man, I need to reel this in a little bit. And do you know what I did? At 48 or 9 years old, I literally did something that I'm literally telling you not to do, which is I went all in. I spent every penny I had. Like I said, I bought this building. We put a haunted house in here. That was a mistake because a haunter thinks about putting in more haunts, okay? Which is exactly what I did in this space that it's a mini golf. You take a calculator, and I talked about this in another video. You take a calculator and you use it, and you start to figure out that, yes, I put in a second haunt. I spent a lot of money on it, maybe $300,000 or more. And I put that in here, and then you know what I did for several years was nibble into it with more escape rooms, and then eventually got rid of it and put in the mini golf with the pinball arcade. So instead of just having escape rooms, I have escape rooms, mini golf, and a pinball arcade. Okay, yeah, if I could do it all over again, I would have done it that way from day one. Okay, because when I first started my escape rooms, we were doing $25,000 to $40,000 a month. Now we do $90,000 to $150,000 a month. There's a big difference. So yeah, you know, I learned very slowly, like, how to make this work. And you make a lot of mistakes getting there, but in the end, it all worked out. So yes, I still spend a crazy amount of money on the haunted house because I have a passion for it. But I don't spend anything close to what I did 10 years ago. Does this make sense? So I'm still a little bit of a lunatic, a little bit of a savage when it comes to, say, upgrading and improving my haunt, but I'm also in my 50s. And so I'm not trying to piss away going out and buying a boat or a Lamborghini or creating a retirement fund or paying off a house or paying off a building or paying off a loan or something like that to put yourself in a better spot when you're 60. When you're 60, are you really gonna still want to do this? I don't know. And that's the point of this whole video. You don't know. So think about that and try to put yourself in a better position 5 years from now. And do you know how you get yourself in a better position 5 years from now? Listen to people who've made a lot of mistakes. And it doesn't have to be a haunted house business. Any business owner. Business is business, no matter what. And that is the bottom line. So, I hope this video helped your business. This was video number 500. Can you believe that? I am doing this Hauntworld channel absolutely for fun and hopefully to the benefit of people in the haunted attraction business. And I look forward to stop making these videos. And after Transworld, I'm going to the Amusement Expo. I advise everyone to go to the Amusement Expo. It's in Las Vegas. It's about 10 days after Transworld. Because at that show, you could also go to the bar and nightclub show. And then another show that's there is the pizza show. And if you are trying to grow your business, you got to really just start thinking about, like, hey, do I need more monsters or do I need to grow the revenue at my attraction? Should I build a mini golf? And by the way, when I talked about a calculator, the haunted house, the upcharged haunted house of the darkness, never did over $100,000 in one season. That was an upcharge, okay? This mini golf has made 100 times that, okay? And it's open 5 days a week. You don't need another haunted house, okay? You need different forms of entertainment. And I wish I would have known that when I built the haunted house in here. I never would have built it. I would have developed this into a year-round business and taken some lumps, which I did, taken some lumps. But at some point, do you know what I did? I said, screw it, I'm going all in. And you know when I said screw it was when COVID happened. I spent every penny that I had to build this mini golf, to build 2 more escape rooms. I went all in on this facility. I put in air conditioning, I put in more heat, I put in more electric, I put a new roof on the building, I mean, I replaced all the doors. It was an all-in venture. It put me at zero, but I believed in it. And I believed that the future for my business was going to be to do something that could be open year round. And this business is thriving. It's doing fantastic. And I have also learned, how do you keep it going? And how do you keep your escape room business thriving? To add one new escape room a year. But I'm at a point now where I've only got the ability to build one more. And my buddy Dwayne Sandburn told me the same thing. He's only got the ability to build one more. So I have the space ready to go. And it's behind here. And you can see how big it is. It goes down to that wall and down there. It's actually going to be a 6-person escape. And it does not matter if it's 6 people or 12 people. I mean, it does matter because you make more money when the escape room is a 12-person or 10-person. But it does not matter because it'll be a new theme. And you know, the reality is when you do all private rooms, and we have a minimum of 4, I would say the average amount of people who book the rooms is, 5.5 or 6. So, but we do have an escape room that holds 12, and sometimes 12 go in there. But this room will be a 6, and it'll be fine. So the Haunted Mansion will open, and that will be like a snack to tide me over until I can get the Alien done, which I'm hoping to have it up and running in the summer. But this business is worth investing in. And let me show you one other thing. When you talk about investing in yourself and your business, and you're thinking the long term, I have nowhere else to go with this business unless I go downstairs, which currently is a shop. So I don't really want to do that. So I only got one other place to go. And let me show you. And this is what you need to be thinking about when you're trying to think about, I want to go to the next level. So look at this. When I did not own this building, I owned this building over here that the darkness was in, and then I built this building on for the first year of Transworld. Now, if I would have owned this building here, I would have, this is at a slant. It would come at us a slant. It would have connected right over there into the corner. So if I connect this part to this part, I would pick up exactly about 1,500 square feet of floor, which doesn't seem like a lot. And it may cost me $800,000 to do it, but would it be worth it? You gotta think big. You gotta go big or go home. If you want to be successful, you've got to go big. And all the jokers and clowns out there that aren't doing anything, but they're on all these forums running their mouth and saying, oh, he's just bragging, or he's doing this or doing that. And I'm not just saying about me, I'm saying about anybody who's doing something big and successful. You're always gonna get naysayers. You just keep on plowing. The more ground you plow, the more seeds you can plant. That's the way it goes. If you want to stay up an extra 4 hours plowing, then you're going to make more money and you're going to have more crops and you're going to be more successful, and that means you can buy your next door neighbor's land and you can keep growing, keep getting bigger. So that's something I got to really figure out. Can I connect these buildings so then I would be able to walk out of this building into where the TerraVision's gift store is. Now, wouldn't it be great if I could connect this space and then make something in that wedge at 1,500 square feet and then get my gift store open year round and connect it to this business? I gotta think about that. Okay, that's something to think about. So, and by the way, you know what's in that building? Not only my gift store, but the TerraVision's Haunt. So is the TerraVision's Haunt worth keeping? If I could connect this to that building, I could expand into more year-round amusement, and then so the haunted house would just go. It's something to think about. I wish I could have bought this building before I built that building over there, and it would already be connected. Now it's going to cost me a lot more to build 1,500 square feet than it cost me to build 11,000. I mean, go figure. Anyway, So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We are gonna go visit more haunts. We're gonna go visit more haunt owners, and we're gonna go look at some haunts as I travel the country over the summer and go to trade shows. And I will be making several videos of Transworld. We will be making several videos. We'll make a video of the Amusement Expo. I advise you to go. It's literally right after Transworld. And so we'll be going to that show. We will be going to the pizza show. The pizza show is the show to go to, I'm telling you, if you want to add concessions, because that show is off the chain. So I would definitely advise you to do that. I would advise you to go to the Amusement Expo and just kind of like look around. It's more of a family fun center show. Come on by. I'll have a booth there. You can talk to me. I'll build you a mini golf. Why not? Until next time, everybody, I hope to see you in just a few days right here in St. Louis. And video number 500. Will we get to 1,000? I don't know, because I don't know what's in the future. And that is the whole point. So, with that being said, get on over to the Fear Ticket, the #1 fear ticketing, the #1 ticketing company by far. Well, literally, we have features that will make you tens of thousands of dollars. Every big haunt in the country is switching to it. I mean, literally, everybody's switching to it. I can't even tell you how many big haunts have switched to it just literally over the last month. FearTicket.com. But get over to darkness.fearticket.com. Get your ticket to the Darkness Haunt Tour, because I have always said, and I always will say, that in my opinion is the #1 educational experience you can have here at Transworld. So for video 500 and just more vlogs of me just talking, and I'm sure you're bored and you're sick of seeing my face, but I hope this video will help you and help your business. And you know what? See who that is right there? That's Evel Knievel, basically. And let me tell you something, that guy one time did a jump and he knew he wasn't gonna make it, but he did it anyway. That dude is a trailblazer. He's a savage and he's a little crazy, but he was very successful. So successful, in fact, that he had 2 jets, so he could fly one and see his name on the other jet. He really did that, okay? But he wouldn't be able to do it if he wouldn't have made those jumps and broke those bones. So, believe in yourself and go out there and make it happen.